Mr. Chairman and committee members, House Bill 2234 repeals the statutes and language related to the expansion of Medicaid and the corresponding hospital assessment provisions. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Questions by members. We have the sponsor of the bill. Thank you, Ingrid. We have the sponsor of the bill here, Mr. Kwasman, Representative Kwasman. I'm asking you. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Adam Kwasman, representing Legislative District 11. I have some articles, if I can get a page to pass this. Judging by what happened with the last bill and the length, this is an easy one that we could just kind of pass through real quickly. I want to save the easy one for second, so I'm looking forward to doing this in about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, this bill is the first real chance we have of looking at the Medicaid expansion through the eyes of what's really happening with Obamacare at the federal level, and that is nothing short of a complete and total disaster. Whether it is the failed computer system, whether it's looking at spying and possible spyware on personal data, whether it's just looking at the sheer economics of the situation, it is not an overstatement to say that Obamacare is crashing down around us at the federal level. An important part of Obamacare, as we all know, was the Medicaid expansion aspect that was voluntary from the states. And Arizona was one of the 20 or so states that went in for the expansion, but with new knowledge that has come out, I believe that the methodology, it would be hard-pressed to not mention the methodology used in how we passed the expansion last year was spurious at best. I know there's an ongoing lawsuit right now by many of the members that are members of this committee right now that are signed on in that lawsuit because of the Prop 108 violation. Also, we have new information about how Medicaid expansion is actually going to affect our hospitals, our regional hospitals, our urban hospitals, and how that's going to actually affect care. As you all have right now, an Oregon study that came out that was put up by MIT and Harvard. So I have a master's degree in economics from George Mason University, and we always look at studies as academics. And very rarely do we see perfectly randomized controlled experiments. It's a hard thing to get in any type of science. And what was so interesting about the Oregon study and the MIT Harvard study was that through the 08-09 period, we were able to have that randomly controlled experiment where they showed that Medicaid coverage increased emergency department use overall and for a broad range of types of visits, and that also includes a broad range of conditions and subpopulations. This was not just a small increase. This was a 40% increase in costs. That was the key aspect, the very basis of passing a Medicaid expansion last year, that it was too hard on emergency rooms, and emergency rooms were going to go out of business. Now we have science and mathematics that shows us differently. Another aspect of it was that Harvard MIT study showed no measure of health benefits, and we're seeing coverage but no benefit to population health. We're seeing different studies coming out of Virginia that are showing the same thing. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, here's the thing. We have a chance with this bill to be responsible stewards of our state's health care. And every sign points to a collapse at the federal level. I personally believe that a centrally planned Soviet-style command economic system, whether it's at the big scale or at the small scale through an individual program, is doomed for failure. The cost of care is not going to go down. They underestimated the cost the last time we expanded Medicare in the state by $1 billion. $1 billion. This is not working, and it's not going to work, and everybody knows it. If you really, whether it's at the federal level or at the state level, we know it's not going to work. And these signs cannot be ignored, and we have a chance right now to change the direction of how Arizona's Medicaid system works before people get trapped into a system that's untenable. You know, I believe if you have a chance to solve a problem before it starts, boy, why not take a bite at the apple? We have new information now. Let's look at this as a chance to repeal this Medicaid expansion before we really are caught holding the bill, and we can't afford to back out of it. So with that, I'll answer any of your questions.